Here's the story behind my most viewed video.
So this all started in August of 2023 when I responded to a Craigslist ad. It was really late at night and I scrolled past this ad. You know, they were auditioning bass players to go on tour with the band. I don't have a copy of the Craigslist ad, but I have a screenshot of the message that I sent them. So it was August 19th, 4:29 a.m. and I said, "Hi, I stumbled across your ad on Craigslist. I'm about to fall asleep, but we'll be back tomorrow with more info in response to your bass vacancy." Because it was so late at night, I saw the ad, checked them out on Instagram, sent them the message, and that was as far as it went. I was about to fall asleep and I didn't do a deep dive, I didn't listen to any of the music, I didn't look at any of the music videos, I didn't check out what kind of venues they normally played at, I didn't do any kind of research. I just sent them a message, fell asleep, and when I woke up the next morning, I remember they had responded to my message I sent them on Instagram, found my phone number on my profile, sent me a text and sent me an email. And his response says, "Cool, send us your number on WhatsApp and we can talk. You can call me here." He leaves his phone number and his name. And I think it was after that, he responded at 11:47. And it was after that that he had looked at my profile, found my contact details, messaged me through my phone and my email. I texted him back, sent him my number, and the conversation just carries on from there. I remember we spoke on the phone and I was due to come to New York on September 8th of that year anyway. I was going to go for the weekend. I was going to go the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, fly home on the 11th and see, you know, there was a concert happening. I was going to hang out with a friend that I have in the city. And I said to them, you know, after our initial phone call, I said, "Okay, I'll come and audition for you. We'll see how it goes." We arranged for me to come through and go to their rehearsal space in Brooklyn and audition for them. And during our first phone call, I was taking some notes down on a notepad thing. And he said, you know, he just listed off a bunch of places, but they were all in New York. It was like Albany, Rochester. Those are the only ones that I can remember. Amityville, is that one, Amityville? Anyway, they were all in New York, and it turned out that it wasn't like a serious tour. It was just, I suppose you would call them dive bars, some local dive bars that they were gonna go to, and that did put me off quite a lot because it's just not the sort of thing that I'm used to doing. But at that time I was working with another project and they were wonderful people. It just wasn't going anywhere. It wasn't working out. It wasn't going anywhere. You know, they said that they wanted to do all this stuff, but really when push came to shove, it was like nobody could take time off work. Nobody could leave town, nobody had a passport, we couldn't go anywhere, we couldn't do anything. We were getting offers for festivals and support slots on tours with bigger artists and had to turn them down because the other band members just could not get time off work. So that is what led me to go to Craigslist, and that is what led me to look for other options. And I know that Craigslist it's where all the creepers hang out, but you know, you can still find some good things on there. I've found good things on there before. So anyway, I made plans with these people and I went through to New York on September 8th. And I just remember feeling like they were very enthusiastic. I was getting phone calls like every couple of days, and I still had shows with my previous bands. So I had shows, I think I was in Delaware. We were doing some kind of show in Delaware, and I remember getting a phone call. And it was just, they seemed like really friendly people. I was mostly talking to the singer and the guitarist. It's their band. They write all of the music. They pay for everything. They own the RV that they tour in. They pay for the practice studio. They pay for everything. So it's their band, and the bass player and the drummer are just kind of rotating cast members kind of thing. And, over the course of these conversations with them, I picked up a lot of information that I found quite reassuring. I found out that the guitarist is a senior manager of an electrical engineering company. They both have wives, they both have children, they both have, stable jobs. It's not like, it's sometimes if I don't know things about people and I'm going to audition for them, I worry that they might be, stranger danger. They could be crazy. They could be crazy people. But I just think if somebody has a wife and kids and a stable job and not going to be some vagrant that's living under a bridge somewhere and has posted an ad on Craigslist because they want to harm me. So I really felt quite reassured by things. But I remember they were quite pushy, and prior to the audition, they had emailed me over a schedule. They had asked me to learn 5 songs, and then they had scheduled me in for 12 hours of rehearsal time. And it was like, Friday, 8th of September 2023. They knew what time my flight was getting in, and I had said to them, I can come and audition for you on Friday night. So they had scheduled me 4 hours of rehearsals on Friday night, 4 hours of, auditions. They had scheduled me for 4 hours of auditions on Friday night, 4 hours of audition on Saturday morning, and then 4 hours of audition on Sunday morning. And then I was going to a concert on Sunday night, and I had invited them to come with me. My first show with them was in Amityville in New York, and I remember my mum texting me the morning afterwards and asking me if everything was okay because I hadn't posted anything on Instagram. And I just said to her, well, Mum, there was nothing to post on Instagram. It was one of those shows where, you go on and the people in the audience are just the other bands. So if there's 6 or 7 bands on the lineup and they have 4 or 5 members, it's like the first band turns up, plays their set, hangs out for a little bit, leaves. The second band goes on, plays their set, hangs out for a little bit, leaves. And it's just, it's very DIY, and it's very entry level, and it's very much, local bands having their first gig. And I just feel that I'm past that point. I've been past that point for quite a lot of time. And I remember having fun in October. I remember that they were great people. I got along well with everybody. I really enjoyed living on the RV. I didn't have any problems, but I was just really disappointed that the attendance at the shows was really poor. And it was just, it felt like a lot of effort for not much reward. Ask any musician that's ever played to a dive bar with 10 people in it, and if it isn't your first show, it's a horrible feeling, right? I mean, there's no way to sugarcoat that. So anyway, we did our 5 shows. It got to the end of the tour run, and they dropped me off at the airport, and I flew back home. And I remember thinking, so they had another, I think it was like 6 shows in December, and I had committed to that. I had told them that I would join them for the 6 shows in December, but I did say to them, I think I might not be the person that you were looking for. I think I might not be the best fit for this band. I'm not really finding these shows very fulfilling. And I said, I will commit to the shows in December, I'll follow through with that. However, I think beyond December, you should, start looking for somebody else to take my spot now. And it was the singer. The singer was very enthusiastic towards me, and he kept saying, well, you're just such a great addition to the band. You're so great. Like, if we can find a way to keep you, what do we have to do to keep you? And he kept saying that. It was, what do we have to do to keep you? What do we have to do to keep you? And at that point, I had told him before I came to the auditions that I've been in the music industry for a while now. I've played festivals in a lot of different countries. I've worked on a lot of different tours. I happen to know a lot of different management companies, booking agents, publicists. I know how to get opening slots for headline artists. And I said to him, like, I would rather play shows like that. And everything I said, he just agreed with me. And I wasn't suspicious at the time. I just thought, well, if you're riding around with all of this professional sound and lighting equipment, boxes upon boxes of merch to sell, and you're spending all of this time booking shows, I thought that they wanted to take it seriously. I took that as an indicator that they wanted to take things seriously too, and that if they could get on bigger shows, that was the plan. So he just kept agreeing with everything I was saying, and he was saying, yeah, if you could get us on bigger shows, that would be great. If you could book us festivals, that would be great. If you could get us partnered with a really reputable management company, that would be great. If you could get us opening slots on tours for big name artists, that would be great. And I said to him, okay, well, that isn't a 5-minute job. And I said, let's find some time when all of us are available, and we'll sit down and we'll talk about what contacts I have that I think might be useful. So that was the agreement we came to at the end of October. I flew back home, and we did indeed have a series of phone calls, and I also have some emails when I passed across information. And there are 5 management companies that I know in North America that are extremely reputable, and I would have been happy to partner with any one of them. But at this point, I was so, I had only met these people in September, and I'd played 5 shows with them in October, so I was sort of still starting to get to grips with the overall characteristic of the band. So I decided we should just reach out to every management company that I know of that is reputable, and just see if there's any interest there. And we were really lucky. We got 3 offers back almost immediately. And the first one is a booking agency. So they call themselves a management company, but they're really just a booking agency. They'll book you on some really good tours, but they will not, they won't give you management advice. So you're probably not going to get signed to a record label, and you're probably not going to get on festivals, but you will get on great tours. And I thought, well, that's not a bad place to start. And they are one of those companies where they'll work with anybody who has money, basically. So artist development, you're on your own, but getting booked for good shows, they can do that for you. So they sent us back a contract, and the singer really aggressively redlined it, just like tore this contract to absolute shreds, sent it back to the booking agent that I know, the management company. And I thought it was a little bit harsh, but I thought maybe he's open to negotiation. No, he just cut us off completely, and he sent back an email saying, good luck getting someone to represent the band. And this was sort of when, I don't want to say I became concerned, because I think that's just too harsh of a word, but I started to notice some creepy things. So I started to notice something was not quite right. I logged into the band's Instagram account, and I mean, the singer doesn't have his own Instagram account, so at this time, the band's account, right up until 2025, he was using the band account just as his personal Instagram account. And he seems to be following a lot of local bands and a lot of fitness influencers and OF models, which is absolutely fine. I don't have a problem with that. He's married, but I'm not married to him. And I know that some people consider texting, I know that some people consider flirty texts as micro cheating, but I think that's such an individual thing. I don't know what the relationship between him and his wife is like, or I didn't know what the relationship between him and his wife was like at this point. So, you know, this was my first introduction to the fact that there were big problems there. Anyway, I have one particular screenshot. So I was in the band's Instagram account, and I was you know, looking at the metrics to see when is the audience most active, when is our best time to post, what sort of hashtags are best for us, do people prefer photos or reels, blah 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 blah, all that good stuff, just trying to figure out how's the best way to help with the social media. And I went into the messages folder, and I found, so this is just one example, this is one example of the messages, and I'll put it on the screen. But this is a fitness influencer called Alexis Silver Fagan. She has 98,000 followers at this time. So it says, you've followed this Instagram account since 2023. And then they follow a bunch of mutual Instagram accounts, so other fitness influencers and things. And he sent her a message August 6th at 1:52 p.m. and it says, congrats on all your success. I'm frequently on tour with my band, and your posts and workouts are super inspiring and easy on the eyes. Keep rocking, Evan. And then, you know, there was a typo in there, so he's corrected it. Then she didn't look at this message a month later, September 2nd, 2:20 p.m. Just took your yoga kettle class on Mirror. You rock, E. Now, this is just one example of the types of outgoing messages I was seeing. And, you know, he didn't get a response to this, but I just thought, like, there was just some suspicious stuff in there. And then also, I found the previous bass player of the band was still tagging them in her reels on September 3rd. So I started speaking to these people in mid-August, went to meet with them on September 8th, was given this person's job on September 8th, and she's still tagging them in things on September 3rd. So I mean, this will probably become relevant later, but they told me that she was being replaced because she had a certain behavioral problems, if you will. You know, they basically didn't have anything nice to say about her, and I had watched videos of performances back, and I thought, well, she's not much of a musician, but you don't have to be much of a musician to be in this band. So we'll leave that there. I'm not getting involved in that. Anyway, so I saw things on the Instagram, and they just made me slightly suspicious of certain behaviors. And unfortunately, it came to light that the singer was cheating on his wife. So I found that out in December of 2023. And it's not my business to meddle in people's relationships. You know, I don't know what the rule is in their marriage. I don't know what their boundaries are. I don't know, and I'm not going to ask unless somebody comes to me and asks me or actively tries to involve me in a situation. I'm not getting involved, so I just left it. But it was on this series of shows that we were playing in December that he just said to me one night while we were driving. It must have been like, you know, we were driving after a show, and the drummer and guitarist would sleep during the night, and the singer would drive and I would keep him company so he didn't fall asleep at the wheel. And it was just on one of these nights, he said to me that, you know, he's been cheating on his wife, and he said that the state of his marriage is not good. But the way that he sold it to me was very much that his wife doesn't care. She's very cold towards him. She's a workaholic. She's very self-absorbed. She ignores him. He's neglected. You know, he's father of the year. He doesn't want to move out, and he doesn't want to leave his kids, and he doesn't want to disrupt their lives. He has 2 teenage girls. They're at a sensitive age. That was the story that he gave me. And he said that he had just met this other woman. They were having an affair. And he said that she knows that he's married. She knows about the situation. And I thought, okay, well, if that works for you. I mean, it was just one of those things. It was like, okay, so he's told me something. What do I do with that information? I'm not going to tell his wife. I wasn't going to do that. I didn't know his wife well enough to tell her. And it was one of those things where I kind of feel like he told me so that I wouldn't find out and have a big reaction. But I'd already I'd seen things in the messages, and I just thought, if you were my husband, I would feel a bit suspicious. If you were my husband and I saw what you were texting other women, I would be disappointed. But, you know, different horses for different courses. So I just left well alone. And that takes us to January of 2024. So we finished up these shows in December. And also it's worth noting that while we were out on this tour run of dive bars in December, the singer got a call from his wife saying that there had been an accident at his house. There had been a flood. So they have a 3-story house in upstate New York, and something had gone wrong. A pipe had burst in the bathroom on the top floor, and the house was flooded, and the roof on the 2nd floor had fallen in. And, you know, that's devastating, that's very stressful. And the wife had to take care of it all on her own. And she said, you know, the insurance adjuster is coming over. The insurance adjuster is coming over, and the insurance is going to cover it, but the family is going to have to stay in a hotel while repairs are being made to the house. And this situation with him living in the hotel, it went on for almost a year. But again, separate issue. So